Ovo je pravo novinarstvo, znači bez dlake na jeziku, bez suzdržavanja, na temelju činjenica.
You've lost the plot. You don't give a shit about children. You don't give a shit about America, or you would be standing up saying we cannot have a president breaking the law every single day.
Very well said. Moving along, this is how ICE is treating children in custody. Pop this up. Crystal Ball, my girl Crystal Ball, shout out to her. She's always on the right side of history. Says children are being treated this way, and she found this story on PBS News, which actually does journalism. Food contaminated with worms and mold, limited access to clean drinking water, inadequate medical care. These are a few of the allegations made by migrant families in recent court documents about their children's conditions while in ICE custody. And this is what I've been saying. If they're shooting Renee Good in the street, if they're pepperballing innocent protesters, there's a guy that was like dressed as a squirrel or a rooster or something, just like playing a drum, ICE agents have to tackle him and put, pepper spray in his eyes. Think about how they're treating the black and brown population behind bars. Think about it. These are very psychotic people. These are the people who have no empathy for human beings. These are the people that their kink is recreational cruelty.
Da.
And
Upravo
sadly, the people that watch Fox News, they also like recreational cruelty. And a story like this, as appalling and horrible as it is to us, we have to understand the cancer in American culture, that there are a lot of white folk out there in America, in the suburbs, in rural America, and probably some even in cities, that see this story and it doesn't move the needle in the least bit, because their default argument back to this will say, well, their parents shouldn't have brought them here. If you break the law, that's not my problem. And that is something I don't know how to fix. This is something the Democratic Party has let run amok in Republican circles because they don't have the courage to confront the cult nature of evangelical Christianity, the grift of their flock with all of the hundreds of millions of dollars that they have in their account. You all know I've told you about the church that I'm most familiar with because of my life in Oklahoma City, is a huge, giant mega church named Life Church. Life Church has $600 million liquid sitting in a bank account. Their number one goal with all of this stuff with ICE going on isn't to shine a light on the injustice. It is making sure their flock keeps working on their personal relationship with Jesus, tune out everything else, and you tithe because they have to open up more churches because it's a grift.
Bravo.
It's all a lie. They keep you wound up that somehow you're not good enough. You were born of sin. You have to be saved. You can't have all of these thoughts. There's never an explanation that, you might see this woman over there, this guy over there, and think, they're hot. I'd like to slap and tickle and rendezvous with them. It's a human thought. In the world of all of these Christian nationalists, they start in on their kids at very young ages that they cannot have these thoughts. And the whole thing is all about these diabolical pastors.
Bravo, ženska.
Wrapped up in the stylists and the headsets and act like they're so, cool and hip. And they're grifters. The whole thing, they're snake oil salesmen.
Da.
And until we address that, and listen, it's their right. It's a free country. But we cannot allow these people to inject themselves into politics, so much so that now they're being taken seriously without us offering a counter narrative and really putting out there what they really are, labeling them for the amoral piece of shit grifters that they are, which brings me to Erica Kirk. Don't put it up yet. Erica Kirk is a big Christian. Big. I mean, she talks about the Lord and Jesus a lot. And the people who are so grandiose about their religiosity right now, and they see this human suffering, and you're getting outflanked by an atheist morally, is a real indictment on your religion. And speaking of the combination of these evangelical megachurches, the combination of this grift plus stay focused on yourself, don't focus on anybody else, empathy is toxic, leads you to, in the face of all the injustice at the hands of the federal government, here's what Eric Kirk is doing this coming weekend. Make Heaven Crowded Tour 2026, featuring Eric Kirk as a confirmed speaker. Oh, it was yesterday, January 21st at 6:30. And so, number one, I don't know who did the marketing for this, Make Heaven Crowded
Shit
Again,
show.
because all I thought when I first saw it was like, is this where they drink the Kool-Aid?
Da.
Like, is this the Jim Jones moment?
Je.
Right?
Jedan od.
I was just like, are they all going and she's serving Kool-Aid and they're all going out? Is that what's going on here? But number two, there are some people in the Catholic Church, and y'all know I'm no fan of the Catholic Church at all. I mean, the sex crime cover-up and all that will always be red flag numero uno for me. But at least there are people in there that are talking about like what the role of the central character of the faith of Christianity, Jesus Christ, was about. And it was about hanging out with the downtrodden, lifting up the marginalized. It spoke out, it didn't say that many words. And I've actually studied this. Jesus Christ didn't say that many words in the Bible, but some that he did say is he opposed the accumulation of wealth. And so when you think about the Erica Kirks, the Life Church, the Joel Osteen of it all, and their desire to accumulate wealth while hoodwinking their flock into thinking they're super moral, this is a cancer. White evangelical Christianity is a cancer. These are the worst of our country. These are the worst people in our country because they use their religion in two ways, as a weapon and as a shield. They weaponize it whenever they want to and say, we're on the moral high ground. You're a lesbian. You deserve to die. You're a lesbian. The cops shouldn't have revived you. Oh, your parents are Mexicans and they brought you over here? Yeah, you should go to jail and eat worm food. And then when you call them out on it, oh my God, they're after the Christians. How dare they? How dare they? We're so oppressed. White Christians are so oppressed in this country. And they want it both ways because in the religion, that duplicity is taught. You can be morally duplicitous. You thrive in cognitive dissonance. And so this is just a massive, massive problem. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that of this cult that I'm talking about, white evangelicals, I think over 80% went and voted triple trumped.
Yeah. I would just say I have to echo what Jennifer was saying in terms of I grew up in this. I was a person that did not believe that the problems of other people could come to me because I was chosen by God and because of my personal relationship with God. And so that meant it was very easy for me to dehumanize people. And that is such a shame-filled moment every time I think about it, that I was able to be one of these people that says, well, I'm not gay, so that doesn't really apply to me. Because I didn't have empathy because I was so narcissistic about my faith. And so that is something that we have to look at because I that's who I was. And it was only when I realized that's not true because of my own problems. And I had to go on this journey. Why did I think I was so special? Why was I able to say, well, they're not my problems, so I don't care? And I look at that now, and I see that as base root for why these people are so able to dehumanize people, to not have...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, because I think your story is so important. I think it's one of the most helpful stories of public podcasters in America, and I tell you that all the time. When you say that you didn't think it would ever happen to you, and does the distraction of constantly working on your personal relationship with Jesus, where it's only focused on you being BFFs with Jesus, and it never talks about, lifting up the marginalized. Does that help you with this delusion that you are favored by him? Because I remember there was an instance in our lives long time ago when, if anybody would have told us, Pumps and me, we're sitting on my front porch smoking cigarettes. Pumps' life was just not going well. And she, to say the least,
Understatement of the year.
mine wasn't really either, so I'm not trying to just highlight her. But she had to come to somebody in her life that was a critical thinker. And I was the only one, the only person in her life. And she was talking about, well, at least this didn't happen. Like something about her kids. And I was like, well, why do other kids get exposed to horrible things but not yours? And she looked me dead in the eye. I'll never forget it. And she goes, I think God just likes me better.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Porn addiction turns high IQ men into silent.
Da, vrlo zanimljive teme o kojima se u Hrvatskoj šuti, ali ne više.
And you shut it down immediately. But it's interesting, your evolution of that to where you are now is really like helpful. And there's a ton of people, Pumps, right now that are deconstructing their faith in light of, don't feel shame about it, because when you started really seeing immoral things, you're on the right side of it. You were able to go, okay, I can turn on this critical thinking here. So really, it's a story of, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but of heroism against all the indoctrination in the world. And you were able to go, oh, I'm a lawyer. I can critically think. So I do need to apply this to other people. And I think it's really brave to do that. And I think your story is really, really helpful, because I think there's a lot of people that were brainwashed in these life churches, Crossings Christian Church, Joel Osteen Church, the Pyrotechnic, this Erica Kirk rally that she had last night, where I don't know if they drank Kool-Aid or not. We'll report back on that. And they Kevin crowded again. But I think that your story is really, really helpful to go from what you thought was moral to being truly trying to be moral daily.
I know we don't have a ton of time, but I will say, in all the years I was in church every Sunday, never once was I taught about, we need to lift up the poor. We need to help the sick. If there was a sick congregant, there'd be a meal train or whatever. Or, we're going on a mission trip to be white saviors in, India or whatever. So, but I don't ever remember, look at the population around you. If there's somebody that needs something, you need to help. It was always in the bubble. You had to be in the bubble. And just the ability of the cognitive dissonance that I had was so fucking amazing. It amazes me to this day. And so, and it kind of, every time I talk about this, it reminds me of, we have all these shootings. Kids are getting killed at school. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody talks about it, because we're going to pray for it, and that makes it okay. But so in my life, if you prayed, there was no accountability after, and then you didn't have to do any work because that was done.
Evo, ovako sam ja, slična moja priča.
Didn't matter because I said I was sorry and I prayed about it.
Slično.
That's the biggest failure of evangelical Christianity, is forgiveness without accountability.
Da.
And truly, forgiveness is not instantaneous. Forgiveness is a process. And we have to be realistic about that. If somebody's truly hurt you or harmed you or injured another person, you want to forgive them, but it's kind of like a trust but verify situation. And evangelical Christianity is just this, your personal relationship, you thought about screwing your secretary, oh, that's bad, pray about it, forgiveness, move on. And it labels all of these petty, stupid things as sin, and all of these huge, big things as something we just don't talk about, like kids eating worms and shit in custody, but these white Christians don't care about it. When they claim to care, like you said, about the when they go on mission trips, which is so immoral and arrogant and such an American type thing to do. But anyway, thanks for sharing that, Pops. That's all we have for this episode. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back later with more news.
Izvrsne su, ženske su izvrsne, svaka preporuka. A vi, jadna moja, eto, anemični vam je rekao da živite, ajde nije Sjeverna, nego je Južna Koreja. Tako da nije daleko od istine, pogotovo što se vijesti tiče, mislim, strašno zastrašujuće. Tako da, eto, malo vijesti šta se događa u Americi, tko je Trump, ko stoji iza njega, što su im ciljevi, što rade u Hrvatskoj, takozvana crkva riječ života, petljaju se u politiku, imaju svoje ljude u sistemu, teški sukobi interesa su u pitanju, gomilanje bogatstva na račun poreznih obveznika, proganjanje bivših članova crkve po sudu, ko što su mene proganjali 6 godina. Znači nikakve odštete nema istine, nema pravde, znači pravda nije zadovoljena do kraja, razumijete? Zataškana su 2 slučaja pedofilije. Dokle? Dokle ćete šutjet? Hrvatska. Turudiću. Platit ćete, ljudi moji. Znate šta? Zločin protiv djeteta se posebno plaća. Posebno, vi svi koji prikrivate to zlo, nećete dobro završiti.